Welcome back to In the Garden. I am joined with Jordan from Grange Co-op, and today we're talking about trimming your trees. So we have two types of trees here. We have your fruit trees and your evergreens. We're first going to talk about our fruit trees here. Now, Jordan, what is the first thing we should, start or people should know when it comes to trimming these types of trees?
Sure. So really what we're actually talking about is deciduous trees and evergreen trees. Fruit trees being in that family of deciduous trees. They're dropping their leaves. Often they are domesticated to the point where they could benefit from a little bit of shaping. It's going to improve the tree's overall health and also make it easier for you, the gardener, harvesting, getting around it, working in maybe your tight garden space.
Okay, so how do we know which branch needs to be?
Where to snip?
Where do we know where to snip?
Pruning's probably one of those things that's makes gardeners really nervous. And it's not that bad. We're not pruning a 50-year-old bonsai tree. We're giving it a haircut. So if you're scared, just don't go as much.
Just a little off the top.
Exactly. I look for two things. We're first prioritizing the tree's health. So what we're doing is looking for any dead and dying branches. So if they're not producing, they need to go. They're never going to help the tree at all. The other thing I watch for, and it takes a little bit more of an eye, are branches that are growing inwards toward the core of the tree. They're only going to give us bad structure later on. This one's not only growing in, it's bent, it's cracked, so we can get rid of stuff like that. Your fruit trees grow in primarily two habits. Stone fruits are going to grow on last year's stems. So as long as we're taking some off it and not going all the way to the center, we'll have plenty of fruit next year.
All right, awesome. Okay, so let's move on to our evergreen trees that we have on this side over here. So when they're growing in your yard, what's the best way, or how do we know when to prune and where to snip?
Evergreens can be a lot more varied in their shape and habit. Even in the conifers themselves, the pine cones, the spruces, what we're familiar with, they really just depend on the tree. First thing we're going to prioritize is the health of the tree. Any dead and dying branches are not going to be for the benefit of the tree's growth. If anything else, they're just getting in the way of that new growth to come out. What we don't want to do though is cut so far into where something is growing that we're going to the old wood, 3, 4, 5 years old. Conifers grow a lot more slowly than deciduous trees, and if we cut into that old wood, there aren't going to be any growth buds to encourage new growth from that point. Something like this isn't too out of the ordinary. This is still a tree that's going to get 10, 12, 15 feet tall. Everything looks good. But if we had something like this miniature Alberta spruce, however, let's say we had a very formal garden, I might take my head shears here, and all I'm doing is just going gently all around. It'll look rough, kind of like that one bad haircut we all had in grade school, but it will grow in just fine.
Awesome, great. Well, if you guys want to start trimming up your trees in your yard, of course, you're going to head to a Grange Co-op store, or you can head to our website at KDRV.com. Thank you so much for joining us in the garden.